Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Tiana here once again, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time we've essentially did somehow manage to fully 100% everything in terms of the main story mode by going through 9 challenge stages as far as this is concerned. Although, despite the fact that I did that particular run pretty decently, but as a result of that kind of stuff though, the only gold medal I've actually done so far, which appears to be Sword Challenge, because I was so close to get the Platinum medal, but beggars else can't be choosers, I guess. So today, for this video, we're about to be checking out the forms of the new mode that is exclusive to this remake, and that's what appears to be Magolor Epilogue, the interdimensional traveler. So I wonder what this is all about. After being defeated by Kirby. Okay, I guess that makes sense, because obviously this takes place immediately after the events of what the ending conclusion looks like, for the sake of the, you know, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, the game itself. So either way though, enough about that explanations for any moment's notice. So anyways, let's get this thing moving along, and as you can see, we're actually going to be taking control of Magolor right here. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, he's actually in a different color. Like, as a result, he's actually in grey. So, I don't know, I suppose if you noticed about the fact that I do apologize for that particular background noise you'd be hearing, but that's just because there are a lot of roadworks at this point today. Which, I will admit though right away that I do apologize for that, but hopefully by that time until specifically on Wednesday and Friday, I would able to actually let you guys know about the fact that it will be starting to get a little bit more, not so much noisiness involved. So either way though, so here we are stuck inside the forms of the actual another dimension of any sorts. Now as you can see, we actually did somehow pick up the forms of those magic orbs. Now what these magic orbs can do, well, obviously we'll get to more details about this once we get to the forms of the actual main side story itself. So obviously about the fact that, again, in order able to unlock this mode right here, you know, Magolor Epilogue, is that you need to complete the main game first, and then that way you would able to experience the actual expanded story for how the actual Magolor did somehow manage to get in there. So either way, so of course this particular stage is just an intro stage, so either way though, oh, magic points, that's what I meant to say, because I keep thinking about the forms of those other games that has like a somewhat of a similar premise as the forms of how it does it in one of those side games, all that stuff. So either way, so as you can tell, we actually come across into ourselves these little special collectibles, as you can tell. This would appears to be like, I don't know about you, but it kind of reminds me like a slice of apple jewel. So that probably explains it how. And something tells me, since that particular flame has now been lit up, so this means we now have the ability to able to learn some of these new moves. Like, for instance, we can now learn, oh, fruit fragments. Okay, those are the actual collectibles I usually called for. So anyways, now we have the ability to learn to utilize the magic bombs. So basically though, it's about the fact that in order able to learn it, is that if you're in midair, or potentially on the ground, you can place those bombs at certain spots. So either way, this is how Magolor Epilogue plays out to be. It plays kind of similar to the main game, you know, with Kirby's Eternal Dreamland and all that stuff. But also at the same time, it does kind of reminds me of something related to Kirby Star Allies a little bit. Because obviously, in new forms within Kirby Star Allies, despite the fact that we haven't exactly got into that game just yet, because basically you can able to actually take control of Magolor, and what he can do is about the fact that he can able to actually hover for a short period of time, and on top of all that stuff though, he can able to fire projectiles at certain enemies. And on top of all that stuff though, that we will able to actually learn more abilities later down the road, until if we keep on collecting those fruit fragments, and then that way, that will actually give us some bit of progressioning involved. So, and as far as for this particular mode is concerned, the actual main emphasis on the actual game is all about, well, it has some bit of leniency, but it's also about the fact that, as you can tell, on the top left corner, there's actually a combo system. Like, every time whenever you defeat certain enemies or certain obstacles, like blocks for instance, the actual counter of the actual combo counter actually increases. But then, keep that in mind though, you have to rely on the time limit with the actual combo, you know, the thing itself. And basically, if you're able to actually perform even more combos, like if you get like 10 or higher, then the more your magic points will increase. So, at least depending on what stage you go into. So, either way, I will try my best able to actually go for, well, generally speaking though, is about the fact that this entire game mode does have a bit of a medal system. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, similar to the challenge stages, is that it contains bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. But, in order able to actually fully 100% everything in this mode, you have to make sure you need to get up to gold medal or higher. Because otherwise, if you get like a silver or bronze, well, something tells me about the fact that we will come across into that specific situation once we get into the later stages in terms of, you know, Magolor Epilogue. So, yeah, and then when you get to the very end of that particular segment right here, basically, as soon as you're able to defeat that last enemy that is all covered in, like, purple stuff, basically, that is your chance to able to actually deal with these enemies and stuff like that. Well, usually for the sake of the forms of how the level ends. So, now as you can see, we got ourselves the gold medal. So, now I believe to get a platinum medal for each and every single level, thankfully it's nothing to do with a time limit or anything, unlike the forms of how it does it in the challenge stages. So, in some cases though, in order to able to get the medals of the game, or specifically in this mode, is that, well, first of all, let me go ahead and boost up one of my Magolor's abilities. So as you can see, we can able to actually upgrade ourselves the Magic Sphere and Upwards Magic Sphere, and there's also the actual Levitation, and on top of that, Health, and especially noticeable with Magic Bombs, and etc, etc. So I'm also able to level those 4 up to level 2, so that way it actually increases my health bar a little bit. And on top of that, this is where you come across into those ordeal doors. And basically, that's essentially how the leveling up system comes into play. So basically though, if you manage to able to level up your abilities, that way you can able to actually unlock certain doors based on how much level you've got for the sake of certain abilities. Like for instance, I think this is actually based off of the Magic Sphere level 2, so as a result of that kind of stuff though, it's just basically it's like a mini challenge stages as far as I'm aware. That way you can able to actually grind, you know, a heck of a lot more of those you know, magic points as far as this is concerned. Although, if you manage to beat the stage for the first time, you get yourselves additional magic points here and there as well, like first time beating kind of stuff. You know, it's kind of like the forms of how it does it in Sonic Origins for a little bit, for the sake of the forms of trying to able to get, you know, play coins and stuff like that if you complete certain missions for the first time. So, it's kind of like that, I suppose. So, either way though, so a few things I want to explain for this point today, and that is that, well, today's date is of course the 24th of April today, in this case in 2023 today. We only got about a week left until we move on to May, in this case the 5th month of 2023. So anyways, let's go and upgrade ourselves, you know, Magic Sphere up to level 3, so that way we can able to actually get ourselves even much more powerful, devastating attacks. So either way though, everything else will be pretty much accounted for the sake of like, well, I will try my best able to actually like level up at certain status and stuff like that. Well, at least depending on certain situations, because there are a couple of times though about the fact that it does requires a lot of grinding for those magic points alike. But I will try to do this by my own time for a bit. just to ensure about the fact that I can able to actually just to become even much more powerful than the forms of Pyred does in the beginning of this particular side mode. So, although despite the fact I did say side mode, because I'm pretty sure this particular mode will be extremely short. So because of that though, don't expect things too much with the forms of somewhat of a lengthy experience. Although, I can possibly understand about the fact that it's kind of like the forms of Pyred does it in certain other Switch games that does utilizes the actual side content. Like for instance, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition contains Future Connected, and on top of that there's Super Mario 3D World, and then also well, usually for Super Mario 3D World does contain Bowser's Fury side mode, and on top of all that stuff though, with other games in mind, which I couldn't possibly think about it on the top of my head, because I know for a fact that, well, relatively speaking, I'm usually more into Mario and Sonic and Kirby and all that stuff, so... But I digress. Speaking of Xenoblade Chronicles related thing actually I'll get to more details about that once we get into the actual continued proceedings for this entire mode. So either way, so let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your thoughts about the forms of Magolor Epilogue? Did you manage to able to enjoy this side mode? Because I must say, this mode is actually pretty cool, especially concerning about the fact that it does kind of reminds me of something almost entirely related to, let's say, one of those side games you find, not only for the likes of the forms of Kirby Superstar Ultra, which appears to be buddy forms of Meta Nightmare Ultra, but it's also with the forms of Kirby Planet Robobot, for the likes of the forms of Meta Nightmare Returns and stuff like that, that basically you do able to get one of those points MacGuffins to able to actually upgrade for certain stuff. However, unlike the forms of Pyred does it in the forms of well, let's just say in Meta Nightmare Ultra, along with the forms of... Oh no! There goes my first step of this mode. Or maybe because I was being so hasty once again. Especially I forgot to able to level up my levitation, so because of that, yeah, you might actually realize about something with the levitation ability is that in the beginning you seemed able to actually just to fly for a little bit, but then you realize that Magolor just starts able to get tired out at one point, you know, kind of like the forms of Tails. Although except the fact that unlike Tails though, that basically does about the fact that at least with Magolor, that you can able to actually upgrade it. So either way though, that might be some capacity and stuff like that, so... Anyway, so at the very least we did somehow complete this challenge stage, so I guess that's alright. So that way we got ourselves 200 magic points in this particular stage, plus even more, thanks to the forms of, you know, first time cleared it. So, yeah, everything else will be pretty much accounted for, so... Oh, and on top of all that stuff, though, is about the fact that, well, relatively speaking, though, that when it comes to everything else about the forms of Magolor Epilogue, that, relatively speaking, though, about the fact that, well, it's important to know that you must able to actually just to upgrade the insane amount of those magical skills as much as possible. Not only just trying to able to become a little bit stronger, but also you might as well guarantee to get yourselves, you know, with the platinum medals and stuff like that. And on top of all that stuff, though, is about the fact that, well, just in case about the fact that you want to able to complete those, ordeal door challenges, or ordeal you know, stages as far as I'm aware. So, either way, it's been quite a few days since I actually have last played this game, because relatively speaking, recently that Joy, she's now recently finished up with the forms of WarioWare's Smooth Moves, and overall, she had a fun time with the actual multiplayer aspect about the forms of the entire Let's Play itself, especially concerning about the fact that I'm pretty sure that, Sonic did also enjoy the multiplayer stuff as well, including Luigi and Wario, but I don't know if we're able to actually just to do that multiplayer shenanigans again, but hopefully by that time, I don't know if it might be something related to either November or something, maybe they can probably do it again, or something like that for the sake of the forms of fun nature to it. But I don't know about you, because I know for a fact that, well, they just want to move on to the forms of the next WarioWare Let's Play, which appears to be, I would say, either WarioWare Snapped or WarioWare DIY. Well, at least do it yourself, at least on the DS version and the showcase one on the WiiWare, which again, it's kind of a shame that you no longer get yourselves the WiiWare version of WarioWare DIY anymore because of the forms of the Wii Shop channels closed. Unless if you really want able to do a lot of expertise when it comes to hacking your game, or potentially hacking your Wii system for that matter. But I highly doubt, I don't know if I can probably do that for the time being, so... Well, because otherwise though, we still managed to get the game back in 2010, alongside with the films of Sonic 4 Episode 1, despite how lacking originality that game is. And on top of all that stuff though, with the films of other games as well. Like, for instance, that's, well, I don't know about you, because I think that's as far as I can usually just try to describe about any of those stuff, so... Oh yeah, at certain points throughout the majority of certain sections, during the forms of Magolor Epilogue, that much like the forms of how it does it in the actual Kirby's Return to Dreamland game, that there are a few times though that you might get chased on the forms of that particular shifting wall, just like the forms of how it does in Kirby's Return to Dreamland, the game itself. However though, as you can tell, since about a few seconds ago, we're actually going to the left instead of going to the right. So it's more likely like a flipped version of that particular segment like this. So either way, and there's my first platinum medal, because obviously I did somehow manage to able to do pretty well when it comes to combos and stuff like that. So, I guess that probably explains it, huh? And I believe something tells me we will come across into the first boss fight in Magolor Epilogue. And I'm pretty sure that, excuse me, I do apologize for that belchiness for this point, guys, because I've been busy eating, or should I say I was busy drinking a lot of orange juice recently, so forgive me if I somehow managed able to belch things, so I know it's incredibly gross. So, anyway, so before we take on the first boss in the game, we need to take care of the forms of this ordeal challenge first. So, relatively speaking though, everything else will be pretty much accounted for. Oh, and on top of all that stuff though, much like the forms of the main Kirby's Return to Dreamland, the game itself, this particular side mode also has multiplayer. However though, I will admit though right away, the multiplayer aspect of this mode might be the weakest part of this, but that's just because it might be too chaotic. So because of this though, relatively speaking though, about the fact the matter is though, that pretty much saints that thing, so... No, and also as you can tell about the fact that since I did somehow upgraded my health bar a little bit, because obviously about the fact the matter is though is that, well, it kind of reminds me of the forms of how it does it in the Kingdom Hearts games, what if you do manage able to keep on leveling up and stuff like that, and that way it actually increases your health and stuff like that, or generally speaking defeats certain bosses as far as what the actual thing tells us to. And something tells me I'm almost gonna get wrecked by the forms of that particular Goulders right there, and on top of that with all these firearm cannons or something like that. So either way, so now we've actually got some even more magic points, so that way I can able to upgrade one of my special skills and so for later, because I'm also able to actually use the actual magic points, well, quite slightly. Well, at least as far as I'm concerned with that. So either way though, I'm probably not going to overuse it too much. So anyways, let's go and upgrade ourselves our magic spheres to, I would say we're now on level 4 for the magic spheres ability. So anyways, let's go ahead and take on the first boss in Magolor Epilogue. And something tells me it's not wispy words, for sure, but rather by the forms of that particular familiar boss ever since in World 2. Of the forms of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, the game itself. Except this time is actually a lot more of a electricity vibe. So, yeah, it seems kind of interesting to be able to come across into this particular harder variation of that particular, you know, Duta boss fight that we've already come across into in the main game. However though, we were able to actually kick his butt no problem, thanks to the forms of those particular magic spheres that we can able to actually use as projectiles to able to fire back at him. Although the noticeable challenge to this though is that he now actually summons the forms of a lot of electricity attacks. And also something new he's going to be performed, and that is the fact that he actually hops into his hat, and then he also utilizes the actual lightning strike, to able to actually just to get the amount of damage to us. So... But, yeah, and on top of all that stuff, though, about the fact that I was really looking forward to see how this mode is going to play out to be, as I mentioned this before, because, relatively speaking, though, this is almost entirely a new, like, experience. Well, I've already experienced this on my own time, and I had a really good time with it. Although, relatively speaking, though, about the fact that there's going to be that one point later on, they do realize about the fact that it seems I've almost lost my combo streak, as you can tell, because I keep on getting hit most of the time. But either way, there's our second piece of the fruit fragment. So, And that pretty much does it for the first segment in terms of Magolor Epilogue. So I'm pretty sure there are a grand total of like 4 segments. So yeah, as you can see, I've got myself a silver medal, which means eventually if I manage able to level up Magolor for quite a bit, I need to get back into this particular boss fight and join at some point in a later time. Because in order able to actually get something special, well, we must be sure we need to get the gold medal or higher for able to actually increase, you know. It's kind of hard to say, because it's been like quite a few days since I actually last touched this game, especially concerning, again, I apologize for that background noise you'll be hearing, because there's, you know, a lot of road work, you see, so... Anyway, so now we've actually got this second flame lit up, so that means we can now learn the next move, which appears to be Magolor Surge, which basically, think of like a dash ability, and on top of that, we got ourselves a Magolor Cannon. So basically, that is when you're able to come across into those, I would say magic potion, so that way you can able to actually just to learn that ability, so... That'll be pretty much all deal for the sake of the forms of trying to learn that ability to begin with. So, anyways, let's dash through that fan, so that way we can proceed to the next portion, or specifically the next area, in terms of the forms of another dimension. So, either way though, let's get to it with, well, before we get onto that though, where we need to upgrade our Magolor Surge, just in case we will dash even further. So either way though, we'll pretty much expect how this is going. So either way, and something tells me, yeah, we do need to dash through the forms of not only certain enemies, but also with the forms of Lava Kaisers as well. So I will admit though right away is that dealing with boss fights, when if you're trying to go for a gold medal in your first attempt, is actually not as easy as I thought it was. Mainly because about the fact that, again, in order able to actually get the gold medal or platinum medals in each and every single level in this particular side mode, is that you have to rely on the forms of the magic points you do require. And on top of that, with the forms of the combos as well. Because otherwise, if you learn with less combo, then chances are you get a good chance to get yourselves even lower medals like bronze or silver medals. So, I'm not exactly sure what the point accuracy for these stages in mind. In fact, let me know in the comments down below about the forms of what the actual points were accuracy to able to actually get to like gold or platinum medals, because I'd like to hear your thoughts about it, because relatively speaking though, it's just, well, you know what I'm saying. So either way though, let's just go ahead and try to be very careful not to get crushed. Although, not so bad in the forms of how it does in the beginning portion of... Oh jeez, that was close. I almost get touched by the lava right there. But of course, unlike the forms of how it does in the 2D Mario games, that you die instantly if you touch the lava. But hey, at least we actually got ourselves the magic potion, so that way we can able to perform the Magolor Cannon, so that way we can able to actually deal the amount of damage to most of those enemies. So, and sometimes you can able to actually just to one-hit KO them, if you, at least you're able to have yourselves a good timing involved, especially in the ending section right there, that basically we're now going to be doing with these two right here, with all this weird effects on them. That way we get ourselves 52 combo, and that way we get ourselves even more magic points here and there. So either way, stage cleared as to be expected. So either way, and we got ourselves, what else? A platinum medal. So how's that for that? I will say, trying to get the platinum medals, at least in regular stages, are pretty easy for sure. But there are quite a few stages that brings up for the challenge when it comes to getting those specific medals like this. But again, if I get like silver or bronze medals, I can at least manage to revisit certain stages again, just in case about the fact that I can able to actually go ahead and try to do a full completionist when it comes to the forms of this entire mode. The only time exception though is all the platinum medals. Well, I will do those on my own time. So either way though, let's dive right into stage 2-2. So anyway, speaking of something related to Xenoblade Chronicles stuff, now I suppose that's Joy, or I'll get into more details on that in a moment, because here we have the forms of Protect the Bulb. So basically, in order able to get even more magic points in this particular bulb, is that you need to defeat all these enemies while simply protecting the actual magic bulb. Because otherwise, if you manage to able to protect the bulb like that, they get yourselves even more magic points, so much to what desire. However, if you manage to let the bulb get destroyed, then obviously you're not going to get that much magic orbs or magic points for that matter. So keep that in mind though. So Anyway, as I was mentioning this before, about the fact that I suppose that Joy and Maxie have both forgot to mention about during the course of being a Piglet's big game, myself included, for the sake of this game so far, that recently, that Xenoblade Chronicles stuff does manage to reveal quite a few stuff there actually. First off, about the fact of the matter is though, is that first of all, the actual final parts of the DLC called Future Redeemed that is actually getting ourselves the actual release date for it, and that's going to be releasing until tomorrow, specifically in North America, and I'm pretty sure in Japan as well. However, in the European version, it's not going to be released until the day after, or to be more specifically, the 26th of April. So because of this though, yeah, I'm sure that most of these Xenoblade Chronicles fans will be pretty excited about this. So either way though, I'm pretty sure they're most able to be really looking forward to see how this Future Redeemed story expansion is going to plays out to be, especially concerning about the fact that I just love the fact that for every single Nintendo Switch games, when it comes to forms of DLC passes or something like that, with all its expansion passes and anything else like that, that's normally in the first fewer packs, it does manage to contain some additional content here and there, but as far as the final parts in journey forms of the actual expansion packs or something like that, basically it's about the fact, I just love the fact that they obviously include something big. Like for instance in Mario Plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, they obviously brings us the Donkey Kong Adventure expansion pack, and on top of that with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, they've shown us the forms of the actual the second DLC, which features the forms of that particular continuation of the story expansion or something. And I'm pretty sure it might do the same thing for the likes of the forms of Tears of the Kingdom or something like that in the future. But again, we shall see what happens in due time. Especially about the fact that we've only just got about roughly about, I would say, 18 days to go until the game finally comes out for the Nintendo Switch. So that'll be exciting for a lot of people out there, so although it's kind of unfortunate about the fact that, yeah, there might be some leaks out there, so we're probably able to ignore them for the time being, because otherwise we don't want to get the thing too spoiled heavy. So anyways though, so let's dash through here to get some more magic points from over there. Seriously, I just really love the Magolor Surge Dash ability, because it does kind of reminds me of something related to Mega Man X Dash ability. Oh, unfortunately though, something's worth mentioning for the sake of time. Unfortunately though, our playthrough of Mega Man X2 will be delayed until God knows when. Because obviously about the fact that aside from still working on this, and on top of that with the forms of Piglet's big game that Maxie still need to work on, and on top of all that stuff though is about the fact that the new Let's Play should be up at any point during the forms of, you know, the next couple of weekends up ahead, because, you know, about the fact that with, you know, WarioWare Smooth Moves has already been finished, as you probably already know. So, either way, so let's go ahead and move on to the next level right here. So, anyway, so I guess that's all there is to say. So, either way though, and it's also worth noting for is about the fact that there's going to be a release date for the likes of the forms of not one, but two amiibo in one pack kind of syndrome. Very similar to the forms of how it does it in Steve and Alex based off from Minecraft. So, except the fact of the matter is though, is that both Pyred and Mithra both are related to the forms of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 game. That's basically the actual release date for those two amiibo double pack is going to be releasing until the 21st of July, which is roughly exactly the same day as in the forms of Pikmin 4 for the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, it's pretty interesting with all these release dates in mind. So either way though, and I believe something tells me about the fact that, well, obviously it's all about the forms of, oh goodness gracious, that was close. I almost died right there. Oh, apparently though, every time you do die, the notification pops up that if you want to continue or just essentially quit the level. Well, I can assure you about the fact that I'm pretty sure this side mode does have checkpoints, at least assuming if you go to the next room or something like that, similar to the forms of how it does it in the actual Kirby's Return to Dreamland game. So either way though, that might be some conception, so but I digress. So, in terms of the forms of how the fact that Pyred and Mithra amiibos based off from, you know, not only from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but also with the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, if you couldn't tell from the actual box packaging and stuff like that. That you can also decide able to, for what I've heard anyway, that if you try to scan it onto the forms of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, much like the forms of how it does it for Shulk, that basically if you scan in Shulk, you get yourselves the Monado, I would say like a sword skin, whilst in the forms of Pyred and Mithra, I'm pretty sure you get yourselves the forms of Anxious sword weapon skin for your character. So yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. Especially concerning about the fact that, well, relatively speaking, you may need to hurry up, because obviously if those amiibo figures runs out of stock, basically, much like the forms of the majority of these amiibos nowadays, is gonna get skyrocketing in prices, especially concerning with all these scalpers out there. Seriously, the scalpers never ends, you know? Especially concerning about the fact that it still continues even to this day, since 2014, 24/7. Especially when, you know, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U has been finally came out and all that stuff though, back in 2014. So, seriously, it just never ends with all that scalpers for prices, and alongside with the forms of other stuff you know as well, so... Anyway, there we go, we did somehow manage to dish out with that particular fire-like enemy, and either way, we're actually doing not too bad actually. The only time exception being is of course one of those ordeal challenge rooms and stuff like that, but at least we got ourselves the gold medal, so that should be all good. So, anywho, and also another thing as well is that apparently though, when it comes to those amiibo figurines in the future, likely specifically for both Nora and Mio, I believe that both of those characters are also receiving the amiibo figures here and there, and I did not meant to activate that because I'm pretty sure I did somehow accidentally press the wrong button, so I meant to press the forms of the other button, which leads us to the actual leveling up system. So either way, let's get into the forms of the actual magic bombs challenge door right here, so we can potentially try to able to destroy these enemies right there. That does contain some magic points here and there. So, although usually relatively speaking though about the fact that this is the reason why it took so long to able to actually get this video going, it's most notably because, well, relatively speaking now, I just felt a little bit too tired, and on top of all that stuff though about the fact the matter is though, we have almost to the point that we've almost had summer. Oh, and on top of all that stuff though, since I've managed able to complete the main story in terms of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild before Tears of the Kingdom's gonna come out, I also managed able to go back into Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity for a little bit, just in case I can able to actually just to catch up with the forms of the entire progressioning in terms of the forms of that particular game itself. So either way though, that might be saying something. So anyway, so, and I think something tells me when Miles able to... Oh, I didn't get enough magic points for that. Oh well, maybe we'll pretty much have to complete this stage first. And again, I apologize for that background noise you've been hearing, which I do apologize for that for this point, folks. Especially that, again, when it gets to on Wednesday and Friday, essentially, because this particular mode is not going to be very long to complete. So as a result of that kind of stuff, though, hopefully it starts to get a little bit more quieter in any forms of background noises as far as this is concerned. So, anywho, though, yeah, because as a result, the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 amiibo theme figures is going to be on its way. So either way though, I'm not exactly sure what the amiibo stands are going to be like. Well, at least we'll find out in the future. To be more specifically, God knows until like, you know, the next Smash Bros. Game is going to be on the next console or something. Well, it's hard to tell really, because either way though, we're still on the Nintendo Switch still. So, because again, there's a lot of speculations and a lot of rumors and leaks, which I still don't trust. And on top of all that stuff, that they keep on and on and on with the forms of the next generation of the Nintendo system is on its way or something, so... But, yeah, for the most part, I think that's all I can say about this for the most part. Oh, apart from the fact that for one thing in mind, happy 17th anniversary of the actual release of the Mario and Sonic fan collab crossover, which appears to be Super Mario Bros. Z, since in 2006. So, yeah, been a very long time since that particular collaboration exist on Newsground, despite that, you know, the actual, production value did somehow manage to able to end until episode 8, which we still haven't, like, I remember back in the day, I was really hoping for episode 9 to come out, but then in next year news is about the fact that the 9th episode has officially been cancelled, which seems kind of sucks at the end of the day, especially concerning about the fact that at the very least we got ourselves a new rebooted version of it, so at least that's something that's going for it, right? So hopefully it will be a much more better production than the forms of how it does it during the forms of that particular, well, I don't know about you, it's been an awfully long time since I actually have last watched the Super Mario Bros. Z fan collaboration and stuff like that, because it's obviously based off of not only from the likes of the Super Mario Bros. But with Dragon Ball Z stuff here and there. So either way, 56 hit combo, which is actually pretty convenient, especially, I'm presuming to you, that might actually give me a platinum medal, if I'm assuming so anyway, as soon as we dive right into the actual portal as we go, and sure enough, we have a platinum medal, so how's that for that? But, yeah, I think that's as far as I can talk about for this point, guys. Although, relatively speaking, well, I'm pretty sure we're now onto the halfway point, almost, during the forms of the spring tour, from the likes of the Mario Kart Tour. But I will say, I'm actually doing pretty good at it, though. Well, despite the fact that I'm not exactly a huge fan of the forms the controls are still bad and atrocious, so either way, enough about that jibby jabber, so let's go and get onto the forms of another ordeal challenge right here. So this time it's going to be focused around upward magic spheres and stuff like that, so hopefully we're able to just not be too reckless or anything else like that. Well, as soon as I say that, then hopefully I'm also able to actually just to like be very cautious with that stuff. Alright, so we'll just... No! Oh, I completely forgot these things are solid! Oh, can I get back? Ah, I think that platform falls within as well, so... Whoops. Once again, I'm being so hasty for this point, but hopefully in the later stages I probably won't be so much hasty and stuff like that, but either way, that's saying something, so... And also it does require me to do a lot of concentration here and there, because otherwise, well, thankfully there's no time limit or anything else like that, it's just a matter of like, you know, not to get crushed or anything else like that, so... Alright, there we go. That should be all good, and fine and dandy and all that. And there we go. Now we've actually completed this particular challenge stage, so there we go. Hey, I was expecting if I was trying to do this on the first attempt, but I keep on, like, being hasty, as I said before. Oh well, no big deal, but at the very least we did complete this, so... Oh, and another thing is worth noting for, before we able to actually just to take on, the next boss in Magolor Epilogue, I'm happy to report about the fact that when it comes to the box office earnings right now, for the likes of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, is almost getting close to 1 billion. So as a result, so far, is now on to $876.4 million box office earnings, which, again, still doing very, very well. Now, I'm pretty sure that most people seemed able to keep on speculating about the fact that when it comes to, like, Disney, not only for the likes of Disney, but also with Marvel, and especially noticeable with Star Wars stuff, that some people keeps on, like, predicting that those particular upcoming projects might get a bit flopped later on during the forms of those specific projects alike. Although, as you can see on screen, I somehow managed to get myself my magic barrier, which basically it acts out like a shield thing, which I probably will get into more details onto that though, until whenever we get to the next video in during the forms of, you know, on Wednesday and stuff like that, so... Anyways, let's go ahead and take on the forms of the furry version of that particular boss fight that we've already come across into, since in Onion Ocean in a main Kirby's Return to Dreamland game. So I guess the only difference is between the normal regular variation and the forms of the fire version is that he obviously breathes fire, as opposed to the forms of, you know, water and stuff like that. So, but either way, we can easily take him down, and that's it. And I highly doubt, I don't know if I can probably get myself the gold or higher, because again, Every time whenever I go to these boss fights on my first attempt, I always attempt to go for the silver medal, which I was expecting gold or higher, but again, because of how the way you need to grind more of those magic points and also the combo system, so, and I was literally so close to get to the gold medal for that particular run, so once again, we'll might as well go back for that, assuming of course if we do somehow level up my certain skills and all that stuff, so anyway, I guess that's that. So now we've got ourselves the third piece of the fruit fragment. So I'm pretty sure we've only got 2 left. So yeah, it seems overall it's kind of quick, kind of thinking about it. Because relatively speaking, certain stages are usually pretty short as well. So, and now we're able to learn the next ability, which appears to be Deadly Needles. This seems interesting. And also we can able to learn the Dimensional Vanish. So that's basically it's like a instant transmission kind of thing. So either way though, I'm pretty sure we can able to use that if we go for that particular pink crystal wall. So before we get into that though, let me go ahead and upgrade my let's go ahead and upgrade my Trickery right here. So, and also same applies with Deadly Needles as well. So that might be enough for my liking. So anyway, so with that being said for this point, guys, we do have the endings up for this point right here once we make our way to the next area. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. While we're playing through Magolor Epilogue, is that we are moving on to the forms of Area 3. So this should be a little bit interesting, so I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Later, fellas.